Well, the new year has barely begun and the heads have already started to roll, maybe? Well, you've undoubtedly heard from some of my contemporaries here on YouTube that the Blizzard CFO has been terminated. Now, a lot of people say that this is following a bad year, but the CFO doesn't really have a lot to do with how a game does in the market. They're really just a numbers, and they're worried about the shareholders, which had a horrible year for Blizzard. So perhaps that might be why. But all articles are actually reporting that it is a unspecified cause, and the man is actually on paid leave right now. So is it really getting fired when you make $10 million a year and they just put you on paid leave? Well, let's take a look at what is going on in the articles as I move Colt down to the ground and explore exactly why he was terminated. It's not often that you see a company signaling that they're going to fire somebody before they actually fire somebody, but Activision Blizzard shares moved down 1% in after-hours trading after Monday, after the company said it had informed their CFO, Spencer Newman, that it had planned to let him go. For now, he has been placed on paid leave of absence. This is not that uncommon. There's a lot to unwind when you terminate someone this high in this big of a company, and they have access to sensitive data, important data that essentially when you get terminated this high up in a company, you don't get much notice. You usually get walked out. But I'm sure they need time to unwind everything. While Activision Blizzard made those assertions in a regulatory filing, Reuters reported that a source familiar with matters told Newswire Newman had been poached by Netflix to become the streaming giant's new CFO. The video game company declined to comment on the report. However, news comes after a rough year for the gaming company, whose shares have fallen 26% in 2018. Last month, the company stock fell another 10% after it reported a decline in number of users. The plan to terminate Newman, who joined in 2017, so only a year after a stint at Disney, is unrelated to the company's financial reporting or disclosure controls of procedures. According to the filing, Newman will have a chance to argue that there isn't a reason to terminate his employment, but effective Tuesday, the company's chief corporate officer, Dennis Durkin, will take on CFO responsibilities. Newman, 48, received $10 million in total compensation in Activision Blizzard's most recent fiscal year. That's great. What a life. What a life. You just get a job, work for a year, get fired, make $10 million bucks. Yeah, keep telling me you need microtransactions in games, Activision, Blizzard, and AAA gaming industry, when we keep seeing these gigantic salaries of C-level employees. Not to say they didn't earn it, but it's a little hard to feel bad for you when you see these numbers. The man also sits on a nonprofit Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. See, the thing is, we're hearing the language that Netflix poached their CFO. That would mean to me that he was still employed at the time. It's not like Netflix swooped in after he'd been fired and immediately hired him. Here's what probably happened. He probably was interviewing for this job. Blizzard found out about it and terminated him because, well, screw you. We just paid you $10 million. You've been working here for less than a year. Be gone, thought. Oh, and also, the company ain't doing that great right now anyway, so we can save $10 million bucks if we terminate you. It's being reported that Netflix may have poached him, but my guess is he had been interviewing with Netflix for some time. Blizzard became aware of it, Activision became aware of it, and terminated him. Why Netflix would want to bring in a CFO of a company hemorrhaging money into their own company, which is also hemorrhaging money right now, is beyond me. But Netflix is expected to announce in the next few days that it has poached media finance veteran Spencer Newman from Activision Blizzard to be its chief financial officer. A source familiar with the matter told Reuters. He will start at Netflix in early 2019. Early on Monday, Activision Blizzard said in regulatory filing, now they have to probably report this to their shareholders when they're terminating somebody this high up. that it intended to fire Newman for an unspecified reason. The video game company declined comment on the report. Newman, who had served in a variety of finance roles, including Walt Disney, will replace David Wells, who in August said he had planned to step down after 14 years at the streaming media giant. The source said Netflix, which makes more of its own films and series, would like the next CFO to be based in LA with a focus on production finance. Wells is based in Northern California. So given the fact that he's worked with Disney, that probably makes him a unique candidate. Activision, in its regulatory filing, said that it intended to terminate Newman for cause unrelated to the company's financial reporting or disclosure controls and procedures. So essentially, they're saying he's not being terminated for financial reasons or reporting reasons or anything like this, embezzlement. He's probably, in my opinion, the real reason he's getting terminated is he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar trying to better deal himself. When you're at this high of a position in a company, a CFO, you're making $10 $15 million a year. You aren't finding a new job like that, which leads me to believe that Netflix had been courting him for many months before he even made the decision to leave. Just pretty pathetic given the fact that he gave Blizzard Activision less than a year or just barely a year of his time before moving on. But you know what? Rats fleeing a sinking ship is an interesting thing. There's interesting topics to discuss around this in that, did he see, obviously the person who knows best about how the company's financial future is or how it's trending is going to be your CFO, even more so than presidents. I've worked with many companies where the president has no real idea how the finances of the company work. They rely on their CFO. That's their job. So did Newman see a sinking ship, see a short-term future at Blizzard Activision and decide to better deal himself? I wouldn't blame him if he did. Given the way the stock performed this year, shareholders may have been asking for heads in the offseason here coming up in Q1, and he may have seen the writing on the wall. But Blizzard didn't take this opportunity to throw him under the bus. They just said it was for an unspecified reason. So my money's on the fact that he got caught flirting. However, let's use the comment section. By the way, I'm going to work on a second video today. As hungover as I am, I owe you a second one. So if you haven't already, please remember to crush that thumbs up button on this video. And maybe, is there another reason he had maybe been fired? Is my theory that he just got caught incorrect? Or what about a wacky reason? I don't know. I'm just hungover. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.